Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are checking out more Jurassic World Dominion figures. We have just tons of them right now coming out, which is incredibly awesome. And one of the ones that I was most excited about, I would say, is definitely this one right here, which is the Skorpiovenator. It looks so cool, and it is an insanely awesome figure and an insanely awesome species to have entering the Jurassic World line. And not only that, it is also the first one that I have entering my collection, I believe. So something that Mattel can definitely take credit for, and that's something I think that Mattel has actually been doing a pretty good job of, is entering new species into my collection, as I have done that with quite a few different Mattel figures. Like just specifically recently, the Morose, that was the first one that I had entering my collection, and now we have this one here, which is also the first time this species has entered my collection. As far as the box art goes, you can see it's pretty much your standard when it comes to the Dominion line, which means it is absolutely gorgeous. We also have an image over here on the side of the Pyroraptor, and then once we take a look here at the back, you can kind of see like a sneak peek of the action feature, the sound aspect, and also we have the other figures that are in this wave, which we will be taking a look at as well on the channel very soon. So let's pop this out of the box and check it out. And here is our Skorpiovenator, and it is a really cool looking figure with an absolutely massive head. That is the first thing that I can pick out immediately, is that the head sculpt is huge on this thing compared to what it would probably look like. But you know, as a whole, outside of the absolutely huge head, it looks really neat. I love the sculpt. It's absolutely overloaded with detail. Of course, we have our usual Mattel paint problems, where we have the paint kind of ending way before the tail, and then we have nothing out there making it look like it's only half painted. But still looks pretty neat overall, and definitely a species I'm really happy to see entering the line. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Skorpiovenator, you can see that it looks really good as far as the detailing aspect goes. Again, really nice crisp scales through the course of the figure. You also have like ridge-like osteoderms here running up and over the top of the eye area down here behind it. We have the nostrils right here. The paintwork is pretty nice, as we have a very dark grayish coloration and then kind of like some sort of like light grays here splotching underneath the eye. The eye is painted with a really nice green. Nice pupil there, but the pupil's not really a, black or anything. It's more like this same dark gray that we see for the majority of the face, which is a little bit of a downside. Definitely would have preferred a black pupil. Of course, we have the mouth open. You can see a beautifully textured tongue on the inside of the mouth. All of the teeth are pretty nicely sculpted. I like how there's like a little bit of distance here, almost looking like a tooth might have been knocked out of the dinosaur's mouth. Some nice doses of realism. It just generally looks pretty good. We have that same look over here. Maybe that's not really what they're implying. Maybe that's just like a straight tooth. I'm not too sure, but it looks neat. Again, the head sculpt looks great over here on this side as far as the detailing aspect goes. Really nice, kind of, again, like that ridge line-like look up here, but they kind of poke up fairly sporadically through the course of the top of the head, and the scale detail again looks really nice up here. Mattel really does a great job, I think, on the sculpts of their figures. I just really wish the head sculpt was a little bit smaller. I think once you close the mouth, it doesn't look terrible, but definitely still looks maybe a little bit too big. You can also see some really nice scale detail here for the lower jaw. We have an alternate tone of color with like a light tan here for the lower jaw. The teeth are also painted with a nice off-white. They have a nice glossy look to them. The inside of the mouth sports a nice pinkish tone of color. Also has a beautiful realistic gloss coat. You can see the coloration does run there on the upper jaw, on the inside of the mouth as well. The eye does have a gloss coat on top of everything, so quite a bit of realism added to the figure. As we move back here into the neck region, you continue to see the really nice scale detail, as well as, again, more of those kind of like ridges there shooting out of the back of the neck of the dinosaur. They decrease in size as you head down here toward the bottom of the neck. You can see some more running along the side. You have more of that grayish, it's almost like a grayish green tone of color that runs down here along the neck, kind of splotching down here, as well as more of that kind of, and now in this area of the light, it kind of looks almost like a light gray, but at the same time kind of just looks like an off-white. But you can continue to see how that kind of splotches down here running along the side of the neck. The detailing here in the neck region also looks really good. Beautiful, very vibrant scale detail. As you move down a little further into the body, you can kind of make out the shoulder blade, sort of. Again, you can really see how nice the scales look. So many different varying sizes. You can see all the scales look honestly like every single scale is a different size. It's really, really cool looking. And then as you move up here a little bit further, you almost get like an armored like scoot scoop-like appearance here running along the course of the dinosaur. You see it picking up here in the shoulder blade running up here, but it also picks up here in the back. Absolutely looks like almost like an armored type of a look to the back of the dinosaur. You can see the arms are really nicely sculpted as far as the musculature, as well as the very nice scale detail moving down into the hands. You've got no painted nails whatsoever. Shocker there. As you move up into the stomach region and you turn it, you can kind of pick out the rib cage right there. Again, the scale detail looks great. As we move up here, you can kind of make out where the hip bone would be, but it's not really all that elaborated. I think that's mostly due to the, armored look up here. And you see more of those scoots here on the side of the thigh of the dinosaur, as well as, again, some more really nice muscle definition moving down the leg. You can see the kneecap there is elaborated. You can also see a very nice big bulging calf muscle, and then down into the foot sculpt. The foot sculpt does look really nice. It's not quite as overly large as you often see on Mattel figures, which is really nice to see. You can see a scoot-like appearance running down the course of the toes. You do have a glossy look for the nails, but no actual nail paint, unfortunately, as per usual. You can see the dew claws there. I am picking up on a speckling on the figure, but it's not near as abundant as you often see on a lot of Mattel figures. And then you can see that we continue to have that kind of splotchy off-white as well as the splotchy grayish tone of color running along, but once we get to the hip area, it's just gone. We have nothing after that. You can see the DNA scan code right there. We'll actually pull that up really quick just so you can get a look at that if you'd like to add it to your collection. But again, it isn't actually all that visible on this one. Like, they've done a good job because of that armored-like look to the figure of sort of concealing that. But you can see again as we move along, you've got some more fantastic looking scale detail. The armored type of a look absolutely runs the course of the entire upper side of the dinosaur. You can see it leads out the entire tail all the way out to the tip. Really, really nice looking tail, nice scale detail, really nice subtle curve to the tail. Nothing overly dramatic or anything at all. You can see the underside also sports some really fine scale detail and skin texture. As you move along the underside, you can also pick up on the throat here of the dinosaur. And then if we take a look at the opposing side, being an articulated figure and everything, you're really not going to see too much difference over here, any more so than what we saw on the previous side. Again, all of it looks great as you move down here when it comes to the detailing and the paintwork. And you can see the arms are very nicely sculpted out. You can kind of push them into the body, I think, in a little bit more of a natural position. You can see the rib cage there a little bit nicer over here because this leg is trailing slightly more so than what we see on the opposing side, allowing us a little bit of a better look there at the stomach region. Again, more of those scoots on the thigh, the heavily armored kind of scoot-like appearance running down the back of the dinosaur. You can see the scan code over here. It's a little bit more noticeable when looking at it from this side, but I still feel like it looks okay as far as how they've kind of hidden that one. Not great by any means, but still not terrible. The foot sculpt again looks pretty good. The detailing running down the course of the leg looks great, and you can see we move out the length of the tail. As far as articulation goes, we have a swivel tail on this one, which doesn't really look like it would have, and we also have the articulation of the legs, of course. Very nice, very smooth. Articulation of the arms, of course, both independently. They can also come out away from the body. I think, no, the legs don't really come out away from the body, which is shocking. And then we, of course, have the articulation in the jaw, as well as the neck. It's a really nice looking figure. The sculpt is beautifully done, and the paint is okay. Not great by any means, but it's not terrible. As far as the action feature of the figure, this one operates a little bit differently than ones we've had in the past. So to activate it, you actually just push the dinosaur down. Beautiful noises. I love the noises for the figure. I also love how smooth and realistic the neck articulation is and the jaw snap as you push that down. Really nice looking. I absolutely love the way that they've created this action feature. I think it is much nicer than many of the previous figures that were similar to this, like the roar attacks with that really obnoxious button and stuff. This is way nicer. As far as a size goes, being a roar attack, it's right in the same size range as like, roar of Ors and things like that. You're looking at about 13 inches or around the 33.5 centimeter area for a height to that kind of ridge there on the back of the neck. You're looking at a little bit over 5.25 inches or right around 13.5 centimeters. And then to the tip of the tail, about 5 inches or just shy of 13 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our Roar Striker Skorpiovenator, and you can see that it is a very nicely sized figure. Overall, I feel like they have done a good job yet again on giving us a very sizable figure for a really nice price. Definitely an awesome species choice, and one that I'm really happy to enter into my collection. For a few more comparisons, there is a Kenner Young Rex you can see next to the Skorpiovenator, showing off the size. Here is a Takara Tomy Stegosaurus, showing off how much smaller those figures are, of course. We've also got a standard-sized Mattel Velociraptor, which this is the extreme damage and newer one, but you can get a good idea, I think, in general of the size of the figure, again, in comparison to the Raptor there, because that's no different than pretty much every other Raptor that we've had as far as the size goes. And then when it comes to, the Roar Attack figures, you can see there is the Bumpy in comparison to the Skorpiovenator. So seeing it with this figure, you definitely already have a pretty good idea, I think, as far as the size. Again, fits right there in the same size range as far as like Roar Attacks, Roarovores, things like that. So a very nicely sized figure. So this brand new Roar Strikers Skorpiovenator from Mattel for the Jurassic World Dominion line is an absolutely awesome figure. I would love to see this one make a appearance in Jurassic World Dominion. That would just be incredibly cool to see. But of course, the figure doesn't come with some small faults, or maybe major ones, depending on how you look at it, like the fact that the paintwork isn't really that great. It's okay for what it is, but of course it has the paint that ends around the hip region, and it looks like the back half of the dinosaur is just not painted at all. Definitely a downside as far as that goes. We don't have nail paint as per usual, and again, it just would have looked a little bit nicer if we had added in a little bit of extra paint, just some paint out onto the tail, and nail paint would make a huge difference for every Mattel figure they release, because I feel like Mattel has absolutely mastered the sculpts, and this one definitely looks great, but again, the paintwork is always the biggest downside to pretty much every Mattel figure. And when I say they've mastered the sculpts, I feel like they always look so highly detailed and beautiful. But this one does, of course, have your usual Mattel issues, like the tail being a little bit too short. The feet don't look terrible on this one, though. I will say that. They look a little bit more reasonably sized. Maybe not perfect. Of course they're not perfect. They're a little bit too big, but they're not far off. The head, in my opinion, though, does look a bit too big, mostly when the mouth is open. When the mouth is closed, it doesn't look that bad, but regardless, no matter which way you look at it, the head is definitely a little bit larger than it should be. The action feature is fantastic on this, though I really am a big fan of the action feature of these new Roar Striker figures. I love the way you activate it, and definitely some really nice noises that come with the figure, and you have your usual really nice and smooth Mattel articulation. So as a whole, this is a great release on the part of Mattel. Of course, again, there's always some room for improvement, but I am very happy with this figure, and am overjoyed to add a Skorpiovenator to my collection. So if you are interested in picking this up, head to your local Walmart, as that's where this was found. I want to give a huge shout out to my good friend Matthew, who hooked me up with this. He's been really rolling out a lot of Jurassic stuff to me the last few weeks, and again, a huge thank you to him for helping me to get a hold of this, and rather than fighting off hordes of scalpers in my local area. So again, a huge thank you goes out to Matthew. Make sure you check your local Walmart, especially since these will be officially releasing everywhere on Sunday, on Easter, and everyone hopefully will have a chance to pick this up. And make sure you do grab it if you do see it, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.